Hello, thank you, Fritz. Thank you, everyone. So yes, this is me, and I'm here to talk about mastering digital platforms. And so yes, you all made the right choice, because whilst everyone else is out there having their croissants and their coffees, you are going to become masters of digital platforms in the next 10 minutes. Bit about me here. This is my background. I've worked within lots of big brands, looking after their digital businesses. But here, I'm going to start by asking you, probably unconventionally, to forget the term digital. Okay? Because digital is everywhere. Digital is in this microphone, digital is in this watch that's tracking my heart rate and everything else right now. It is just like paper. It is ubiquitous, and paper is nothing on its own. What I want to talk about today is the experience. Experience is the pen. The pen tells the story, the pen brings ideas to life, the pen entertains people, the pen influences people. So where can you build these experiences? Well, you have your owned estate, you have your website, your apps, your real estate properties, and that's really where you want people to end up. That is where you control the algorithm, that is where you control the data, and that is where you control the customer experience. Now, getting people there requires you to get people from these third-party platforms. That is where everyone is gathering. That is where you can build brand awareness, that is where you can tell your story, and that is where you can reach new customers. So today we're going to be focusing on these third-party platforms. And they're big, right? Here's a snapshot of them. I haven't included everything. There's Snapchat, Pinterest, Reddit, Telegram, Weibo, WeChat. There's loads of other platforms out there that aren't featured here. But what I've tried to do is give you a little flavor across the different types of platforms, because they all have slightly different use cases, right? So you've got brand awareness, Facebook and YouTube, huge platforms. With the right content on Facebook and YouTube, you can reach millions, if not hundreds of millions of people. But if you want to tell a more immersive story, if you want a longer form of engagement, then you might look to podcasts. The average session length with a podcast is around 20 minutes, right? Versus 15 seconds on a video on Instagram or a few minutes on a YouTube video, right? So you've got to think about your objectives. Do you want people in there for a long form narrative, or are you trying to push quick messages to them? And then you've got things like real-time engagement. So you've got WhatsApp or X, where you want to push quick customer service updates to people, right? They're much more real-time platforms. And we'll come into this in a bit more detail. The other thing is around the demographics. So some of it's quite obvious. You would expect that the average age on Facebook is a lot older than the average age on TikTok. But it's also a lot older than the average age on YouTube, because YouTube has a lot of families on it, a lot of young kids on it. And then when you come down, obviously you've got the gaming platforms which are emerging, which again I'm going to talk to in a bit. Very young, and becoming a really viable and cost-effective way to reach that younger audience. But before I go into a bit more detail on some of these platforms, the other big takeaway that I want to just give you in these kind of my 10 minutes is around discovery, right? And so no one cares is the big point. Before you go onto any of the platforms, you've got to remember no one actually cares. No one cares about your brand, no one cares about the story you want to tell, no one cares about the product you want to sell. So you have to think about discovery. All right? When I've spoken to people before, they complain about why their podcast is only listened to by 50 people, their YouTube videos are only watched by 100 people, and it's because every day there's 3.7 million other videos being published on YouTube and over 80,000 podcast episodes being released. All right? So you've got to think about how you're going to stand out when you push your content onto these platforms. And so when you're thinking about content spend and production spend, you've got to factor in almost the same again on promotion, if you're thinking about it from a branded point of view. So as I mentioned, I'm going to go into a couple of the platforms in a bit more detail. WhatsApp, I think, is a really interesting one to talk through, which I will in a second. And then the gaming platforms, which a lot of people may not be as familiar with, so I'm just going to pick apart a few of the things to know about. So WhatsApp. Everyone here, I'm sure, knows about what WhatsApp is. It's very popular in Saudi Arabia and globally. More recently, it's become a really important piece of the business world as well. So very popular on the consumer side of things, but there's a lot of features now to take advantage of in the business side. And I think the big thing, obviously, is from a marketing point of view. So you can go all the way through from engaging with someone with a promotional message through to the payment now on WhatsApp. And what's more, you've got a direct integration with Facebook ads. So you can put an ad on Facebook with a click-through to pull up straight into the WhatsApp channel and then funnel them straight through to the payment link. So you've got the full funnel for you there on WhatsApp, right? And then once you've got that interaction with them, it can be very one-to-one and very personalized. And the other interesting thing about WhatsApp versus some of these other platforms is the customer experience side. It's probably the only platform, really, where you can really blend it quite nicely when they arrive on premise at your property, at your hotel, your bar. you can engage with them still, right? And so you can have a kind of engagement with them where they're physically there, whether it's an issue, whether it's an upsell or a promotion, again, you've got that. And it is being pushed as a notification to their home screen, right? It's a direct push of your communication right to a customer's home screen. So WhatsApp, really powerful. The gaming platforms, okay? Now, gaming is absolutely huge, right? There's 3 billion gamers in the world, and it's grown 50% in just 8 years. So that's 1 billion more gamers in just the last 8 years. Now, when I grew up, gaming was all about N64, Sega Mega Drive, the consoles. And it was very much dominated by those consoles and by those big gaming publishers, right? So EA Sports, Activision. Very closed ecosystems, dominated by major publishers, difficult for brands to get involved. Now, we've moved forward, we've got mobile games and hyper-casual games and web browser games and things, which have allowed brands to get more involved and allowed ads to be inserted, but they're quite intrusive. You know, they're pop-ups in the middle of a level which you have to watch if you want to carry on playing. What we've now got, in more recent years, we've got these big open ecosystems that have come around. So Fortnite and Roblox both have hundreds of millions of monthly active users, and they're very different in a sense that they're much more about a community. They're much bigger. They're not a single game, and they also encourage a lot of user-generated content. So really, you can think about Roblox in particular like a YouTube of gaming. It's not the big developers on there publishing games. It's individual developers publishing games. And it's brands promoting games and experiences. And again, the big thing here is the demographics. 50% of the Roblox audience are under 13. That is a demographic that is not watching live TV anymore. They're not listening to music anymore. They're definitely not listening to live radio. And they're too young for social media platforms. So it's very hard to reach that under 13 demographic. You've got hundreds of millions of them on Roblox. And so that becomes a really interesting space. And it's the same when you think about Gen Z and Fortnite. So that kind of 18 to 24 audience is very concentrated on Fortnite. So just a few options of how you get involved. Clearly, you've got the direct ads, you know, publishing video ads or static ads. They can be much more seamless here. So when the player is going through the game, you can just have billboards with your brand on there. So it's not kind of blocking their gameplay. It's being promoted on the sides, if you like. You can also create branded merchandise. So these players are navigating via an avatar, and they're walking through, and they can dress up their avatar in accessories, in T-shirts. They can furnish their apartments, their virtual apartments with stuff. And just overnight, we saw a partnership between Walmart and Roblox, where you can buy something in Roblox and get the same product delivered to your door from Walmart. So you're getting this blending of the physical and the online world, which is really interesting. And so it becomes a revenue stream as well. You can brand merchandise, Nike trainers, and you can sell the digital version and the physical version to those people, so it becomes a revenue stream as well as an advertising opportunity. And then the other bit is creating more of an experience. So you can create a world with multiple different games that people can explore. And we've seen that done a number of times. And you can build either a dedicated world, or you can partner with an existing world, which again means you've already got an established audience. You have to worry less about that discovery element I mentioned before. And if we talk about a couple of examples from the hospitality world, you've got Hilton, which have done it on Roblox, and you've got Marriott Bonvoy on Fortnite. Now, the big thing to flag with this is Hilton did it alongside Paris Hilton, right? So again, that's the discovery play, right? Paris Hilton is much more credible with that younger audience, and she also has millions and millions of followers, 27 million followers on Instagram. Paris Hilton, half a million followers for Hilton on Instagram. So the difference between the brand and the personality is big, and they partner with that brand. Obviously, it's quite seamless given it's Paris Hilton. Marriott Bonvoy did an activation with Brooklyn Beckham and a number of YouTube influencers to promote the Marriott Bonvoy Fortnite experience on YouTube before it launched. Again, Brooklyn Beckham, millions of followers, much more credible with that younger audience. So again, when you're launching, you've got to think about talent partnerships and stuff to really build that discovery. And then finally, and I don't know if this translates, but we talk about build the flywheel. So don't think about the platforms in isolation. So the flywheel, for example, is what we talk about in terms of Disney's business model. You know, get people to watch the film, send them to the theme park, get them to play the computer game, get them to buy the toy. It's moving people around those experiences. And it's exactly the same with social platforms or online platforms. I'm not going to say digital. Creating that experience that moves people through. Right? So if you're doing some videos on YouTube, push them to the longer form podcast if they're interested, and push them back from that to short clips of that podcast on Facebook. And then how can you move them from that Facebook clip to click through to WhatsApp to engage with you on a one-to-one basis and in a more personalized way. And equally, don't forget the younger people. You know, you don't have to do this in an intrusive and non-friendly way. You can be very responsible, very friendly. Just focus on entertaining them. Build experiences that entertain the younger people. You know, we know, for example, for this audience, that around 59% of family holidays now are influenced by kids, right? So the kids are telling the parents what's cool. Get your brand in front of the kids, entertain them, do it in a responsible way, and they will be pestering their parents to go and search on Google and find that experience. So that's all for me. Thank you very much. Any questions? I know we're running out of time, but they're my details if anyone wants to ask any questions.